look, another. I'm saying to you, the swamp, you guys, the swamp.
I've never tested positive. I've always gotten a TV, so you should fact check that.
I mean, because it's not even about the game, it's about the person.
And guess what? Your job don't pay like my job.
Well, it depends.
Your job don't pay like my job.
You saw it. Don't ask me questions you know the answers to. You seen it.
I can make $200 million in 18 months because I want to, because I want to come back and steal some more money.
From the locker room to the press conference podium, athletes are constantly in the spotlight, facing every question under the sun. But sometimes that spotlight turns into an interrogation, and the athletes, well, they decide they've had enough. From Khabib standing firm in the face of personal attacks to Mayweather confronting disrespect head-on, these moments were defining battles in their own right. So in today's video, we're diving into the 10 most unforgettable times when athletes clapped back at reporters, serving up some of the most memorable and bold responses in sports history. So buckle up, it's about to get intense.
I mean, because it's not even about the game, it's about the person. Talk about basketball for a second.
Our first unforgettable moment comes from NBA star Kevin Durant. On July 4th, 2016, Durant found himself in the spotlight once again, this time after his highly publicized decision to leave the Oklahoma City Thunder and join the Golden State Warriors. While Durant was focused on the next chapter of his career, ESPN's Stephen A. Smith repeatedly pressed him about his controversial move, stirring up the same questions that had followed Durant for months. After hearing the same questions about his decision, Durant, clearly fed up, responded sharply, "I'm tired of talking about that." His frustration was palpable, as he made it clear he no longer wanted to revisit a topic that had already been discussed ad nauseum. Durant's focus was on his future with the Warriors, not the backlash surrounding his past choices. This interaction was a standout moment in the ongoing tension between athletes and the media. Durant had made his decision and was eager to move forward, but Smith's continued questioning seemed to ignore that. Durant's direct response was an assertion of control over his own narrative. He didn't want to be stuck in the past. He was ready to focus on what lay ahead in his basketball career, making it clear that repetitive questions about his free agency decision were no longer welcome.
Y'all come here every day, ask me about free agency, ask my teammates, my coaches, you rile up the fans about it. Y'all let us play basketball.
By shutting down the conversation in such a blunt manner, Durant reminded everyone that athletes are people too, and sometimes they just want to talk about basketball, nothing else. This moment highlighted the delicate balance between media curiosity and an athlete's right to move on from old controversies.
Cheers,
I think you're a tosser, and I won't be doing any more interviews with you little toss-top bearded.
No worries, man.
On November 14th, 2020, Tyson Fury found himself in a heated interview with YouTube commentator True Geordie. What started as a typical interview quickly spiraled into an awkward and uncomfortable moment that left everyone stunned. Fury, known for his no-nonsense attitude and sharp tongue, was already dealing with the pressure of being a heavyweight champion, but when Geordie started asking personal and probing questions that Fury felt were totally off limits, the atmosphere shifted fast. Fury, clearly not having it, started to show his frustration. As the questions continued to push his boundaries, Fury snapped. In an unexpected but bold move, he said, "I won't do interviews with you anymore." And just like that, the conversation came to a screeching halt. He wasn't about to tolerate disrespect or questions that crossed the line. It was a firm statement from the boxer, one that let Geordie and anyone else watching know that Fury wouldn't just sit back and be pushed around by the media. This wasn't Fury's first time standing his ground. He's always been unapologetically himself, but this moment showed just how far he was willing to go to protect his personal space.
If I want to see a real fight, I go down to a Morecambe Boozer on a Friday night and I watch a fight.
When he's in front of the camera, it's not just about boxing, it's about his rules, his terms. Fury didn't just exit the conversation, he made it clear that if the questions didn't respect his boundaries, there was no interview. The abrupt end to the chat left a strong message for the media. If you want to engage with Tyson Fury, you better come with respect or risk being shut down. And that's exactly what happened. Fury walked out of the interview, reminding everyone that in the end, he's the one in control.
You gotta be careful how you phrase a question. You don't want to be rude to the other players because you gotta face them. I don't have to face them. I don't ask them stupid questions like that.
During the 2019 Wimbledon Championships, tennis legend Roger Federer found himself in a press conference that took a turn when a reporter asked him a disrespectful question about his fellow players. Federer, known for his grace both on and off the court, wasn't about to let this one slide. On July 3rd, 2019, after a long day of competition, Federer was asked a question that seemed designed to stir drama, one that compared him to other players in a way that felt dismissive of their achievements. Rather than entertain the negative angle or fuel any unnecessary rivalry, Federer calmly but firmly addressed the question. His response was simple yet powerful. We should all be respectful of each other. With those words, Federer not only shut down the question, but also sent a strong message to the media and the world. He reminded everyone that athletes, regardless of their ranking or legacy, deserve respect for their dedication, sacrifice, and the immense work they put into their craft. Federer's response was a reminder that, at its core, sports should be about celebrating athletes' hard work and achievements, not creating drama or pitting them against each other. His answer highlighted the importance of maintaining professionalism in the media and recognizing that athletes, despite their fierce competition, are all part of a community. The moment reflected Federer's ethos, dignity, respect, and integrity, not just for himself, but for everyone in the sport. By turning the question around and calling for mutual respect, Federer showed the world that he's not just a champion on the court, but also off it. In an industry often rife with sensationalism, his calm response was a breath of fresh air, showing that sometimes the best way to handle disrespect is with grace and an unwavering commitment to respect for all.
But when you foul, did he tip the ball out of your hand?
No, you saw it. Don't ask me questions you know the answers to. You've seen it.
On May 27th, 2021, after a tough playoff loss, NBA star Russell Westbrook found himself in yet another tense moment with the media. It was the kind of night every athlete dreads. The team had just been eliminated, and the pressure of the loss was heavy. But for Westbrook, the real challenge came not from the game, but from the way the media was portraying him. During a post-game interview, ESPN reporter Nick Friedel asked Westbrook a question that touched a nerve. Frustrated by the repeated negative coverage of his performance, Westbrook didn't hold back. With a sharp edge to his voice, he shot back, "You're not gonna sit here and talk about me like that." The statement was simple, but it packed a punch. Westbrook was fed up with the media's portrayal of him as a player who couldn't handle pressure or come through in key moments. For years, Westbrook had been the subject of harsh criticism, especially when things didn't go as planned on the court. But in that moment, he made it clear he was done accepting the narrative the media wanted to push. He wasn't going to sit there and take baseless criticism. Westbrook's defiance wasn't just about defending himself, it was about standing up for athletes everywhere who are often unfairly judged by the media's rush to sensationalize. By pushing back in such a direct way, Westbrook reminded everyone that athletes are people too, and they deserve respect, not just from fans, but from the media as well. His response was a powerful statement about owning your story and not letting others define it for you. In that moment, he wasn't just defending his performance, he was demanding fair treatment.
Es que estamos buscando todo el rato la polémica, ¿no? Y a mí personalmente, como intento evitar la hipocresía habitualmente, pues contesto. Y a veces, aunque conteste de una manera que considero correcta y ecuánime, vosotros, sin ser una crítica más de la cuenta, os interesa más un titular que pueda vender que lo que yo digo, pues no te voy a contestar más sobre eso.
On June 7th, 2021, at the French Open, tennis star Rafael Nadal found himself faced with a question about the gender pay gap in tennis. Instead of getting caught up in the media's attempt to stir controversy, Nadal took a more measured approach. When asked about the disparity in prize money between male and female players, he responded, "There are many professions where this happens," effectively redirecting the conversation. Rather than diving into the typical back and forth over tennis pay, Nadal placed the issue within a broader context. He made it clear that the gender pay gap is not exclusive to tennis. It's a challenge faced by many industries worldwide. In doing so, Nadal refused to let the media narrow the discussion to just one sport, calling out the sensationalism that often surrounds such topics. His response wasn't about dismissing the issue of pay inequality. It was about broadening the lens through which we view it. Nadal recognized the significance of the conversation, but didn't want it to become a media-driven narrative focused only on tennis. By pointing out that this was a larger societal issue. He encouraged a more thoughtful discussion about the pay gap, one that extended beyond the boundaries of the sport. Nadal's calm but firm answer reminded the press and fans alike that the gender pay gap isn't just a talking point for tennis players or athletes, but a deep-rooted issue that stretches far beyond the court. He managed to shut down the sensationalized angle of the question, while still acknowledging the reality of the situation, offering a perspective that urged for more critical thinking and less media exaggeration.
I've never tested positive. I've always got new TV, so you should fact check that.
Serena Williams, another great tennis player of all time, faced a challenging moment during a press conference when ESPN's Chris McKendry insinuated that she may have used performance-enhancing drugs. The accusation struck at the core of Williams' illustrious career, and she wasn't about to let it slide. With confidence and poise, she immediately fired back, saying, "I've never tested positive in my life," putting any doubts about her integrity to rest. Williams didn't stop there. She redirected the conversation, challenging McKendry to focus on her monumental achievements in tennis rather than entertain unfounded allegations. Throughout her career, Williams has earned numerous Grand Slam titles and shattered countless records, and she made it clear that those accomplishments should be the focal point of any discussion about her legacy, not baseless suspicions. Her powerful response also spoke to a larger issue in sports, where athletes, especially women, are often unfairly scrutinized, and their character is questioned without evidence. Williams, who had built her career on talent, resilience, and an unparalleled work ethic, wasn't about to let her reputation be tainted by rumors. In that moment, she sent a strong message that athletes deserve recognition for their hard work and success, not for the drama the media often tries to stir. Serena Williams' response not only defended her integrity, but also set a powerful example for how athletes should handle disrespect. By standing firm and demanding respect, she reaffirmed that her legacy would be defined by her skill, accomplishments, and dedication to the sport, not by unfounded claims.
Excuse me, can you guys guard them as a team? No.
Kobe Bryant, one of the NBA's all-time greats, was never one to tolerate distractions, especially when it came to the media. During his final season with the Los Angeles Lakers, Bryant was constantly asked about his legacy, emotions, and his thoughts on retiring.
You know, I grew up a diehard Laker fan.
However, on April 13th, 2016, during a press conference, a reporter asked a question that clearly struck Bryant as irrelevant. Without missing a beat, he replied, "That's a silly question," making it clear that he wasn't about to engage in any conversation that didn't focus on the game. This moment came during one of Bryant's final public appearances as an NBA player, and as expected, the media was eager to ask him about everything other than basketball. But Kobe wasn't interested in discussing anything that didn't have to do with his performance on the court. His response wasn't rude.
Can you guard them? Excuse me, can you guys guard them as a team? No.
But it was firm. He wasn't there to entertain distractions. It was a reminder of how much Bryant valued his time on the court and how seriously he took his role as a professional athlete. Bryant's reaction was a perfect example of the Mamba mentality that he built his career on, a mindset that focuses on discipline, excellence, and an unwavering commitment to the task at hand.
You know, I knew coming into the night, and I just didn't want to play bad.
No matter how many questions were asked or how many distractions the media threw at him, Kobe always kept his eyes on the prize. In this case, that meant refusing to engage in anything that didn't serve his purpose in the moment. This exchange also spoke to the larger narrative of how athletes are often bombarded with questions that don't align with their goals or interests. Kobe made it clear that for him, the only conversation worth having was about the game. By shutting down the reporter's question, he reminded everyone that his focus was, and always would be, on basketball. We're down to the top 3, and the next moments are the ones you won't forget. Stay tuned, and if you're enjoying this, feel free to smash that like button. Khabib Nurmagomedov, the undefeated MMA legend, is known not only for his dominance in the octagon, but also for his unshakable principles outside of it. On October 6, 2018, during a press conference following his victory at UFC 229, Khabib found himself at the center of a heated exchange with a reporter who attempted to cross a line that Khabib was simply not willing to entertain.
You cannot say salam alaikum and congrats about whiskey.
The reporter, perhaps expecting an easy answer, veered off the topic of sports and asked about Khabib's Muslim faith, something deeply personal and entirely outside the scope of his professional fighting career. Khabib, maintaining his trademark calm yet firm demeanor, responded with precision.
You cannot talk about religion, you cannot talk about nation, guys, you cannot talk about this stuff.
"You should respect my religion." It was a powerful, succinct statement that cut through the noise and made it clear that there were boundaries that should never be crossed, no matter the circumstances. His faith was a private matter, not a topic for sensationalism or controversy in the world of combat sports. In a world where the line between an athlete's personal life and professional career is often blurred, Khabib's response was a firm reminder of the importance of respect. It wasn't just about protecting his personal beliefs, it was about setting boundaries in an industry that often seeks to exploit the private lives of athletes for a headline. By calmly asserting his stance, Khabib made it clear that his faith was not to be used as a tool for media speculation or drama. What made this moment even more remarkable was Khabib's composure. Rather than letting the reporter's inappropriate question derail the press conference or escalate into an argument, Khabib handled the situation with quiet strength. He simply reaffirmed that his faith had no bearing on his skill as a fighter, redirecting the conversation back to his professional achievements. Khabib wasn't just defending his religion, he was setting an example for how athletes should be treated, respectfully, with boundaries in place, both in their professional and private lives. This moment proved that Khabib's power wasn't limited to the octagon, it was rooted in his unwavering respect for his own principles. Floyd Mayweather, a boxer known for his unmatched confidence and brash personality, didn't take kindly to questions he felt were disrespectful. After his victory over Victor Ortiz on September 17, 2011, Mayweather found himself in an intense exchange with HBO reporter Larry Merchant. The situation quickly escalated when Merchant began questioning Mayweather's performance in the fight.
"You unfairly took advantage of it. What do you say to those who say?"
Mayweather, never one to back down from a confrontation, fired back with a sharp response. "You're not even relevant. You're not even in my league."
You never give me a fair shake. HBO need to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing.
His words were loaded with disdain, not just for the question, but for what he saw as a lack of respect from the media. This was classic Mayweather, confident, unapologetic, and unwilling to let anyone undermine his achievements. The back and forth quickly became a memorable moment, largely because of Mayweather's complete refusal to engage with what he saw as arrogance from the media. For him, his win was all that mattered. He didn't care to discuss the details of his performance with someone he didn't view as his equal. Mayweather's response showcased how fiercely he protected his public image and how little he tolerated what he considered disrespect. But the exchange didn't just show Mayweather's brash side, it also highlighted a larger issue of how athletes are sometimes treated by the media. The question itself seemed to imply that Mayweather's victory wasn't enough, despite his undefeated record and years of dominance in the ring. For Mayweather, this kind of questioning was a form of disrespect, and he made it clear he wouldn't accept it. The moment between Mayweather and Merchant became legendary, not just because of the sharp exchange, but because it captured Mayweather's relentless defense of his legacy. It was a reminder that for Mayweather, there was no room for anyone who didn't respect his greatness. One of the most unforgettable moments in MMA came after Sean Strickland's win at UFC Fight Night 210 on September 10th, 2022. Strickland, known for his no-nonsense attitude, was ready to throw down, not in the octagon, but in a post-fight interview, when a Canadian reporter tried to press him about past comments he made regarding the LGBTQ community.
So this is what I'm talking about, you guys. The enemy of Canada.
Strickland didn't back down. Instead of offering a typical diplomatic response, Strickland cut right to the point, saying, "I don't care about your feelings. I'm here to fight." It was a direct rejection of the reporter's line of questioning, and Strickland made it clear that he wasn't there for any political discussions, just for the fight. The reporter, perhaps expecting a softer reply, pushed further, trying to drag Strickland into a longer conversation on the matter. But Strickland wasn't having it. He shot back with a firm, "Go yourself," leaving no ambiguity about his stance.
If you had a son and he was like, you had a son, he was gay, you'd be like, "Oh man, you don't want a grandkid?"
No problem with it.
What stood out about this moment wasn't just Strickland's bluntness, but his complete unwillingness to play by the media's rules. He wasn't interested in entertaining topics that didn't relate to his career as a fighter. His words were sharp, leaving little room for further probing or interpretation. This encounter captured Strickland's fearless personality. In a sport where athletes often navigate the tricky balance of media expectations and personal opinions, Strickland showed he had no intention of conforming. He wasn't going to sit through uncomfortable interviews or let anyone force him into a box. His focus was always going to be on the fight, and when reporters tried to drag him into irrelevant debates, he quickly put them in their place. In a world where athletes often feel pressure to fit a certain narrative, Strickland's response was a reminder that sometimes the most impactful thing you can do is simply stand your ground and say what's on your mind. From the octagon to the court, these athletes made it clear they're not afraid to push back when the media steps out of line. Whether standing up for their beliefs or shutting down disrespect, they weren't about to let anyone dictate the conversation. What do you think? Did they go too far, or were they right to stand their ground? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed these intense moments, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more. We've got plenty more action coming your way.